Hey friends, in today's video, I'm taking some already cute signs from the 99-cent store and making them even cuter by adding some doodling and just dressing them up a bit. I'm also going to be sharing how I work with 21-inch mesh by sharing how I put it on the wreath. I'll show you exactly how I put it on the wreath with the pipe cleaners. Then I'm also going to share how I put on the ribbon, as well as a few other tips and tricks along the way. Guys, if you're new here, my name is Tracy. I love to share crafty ideas with a bit of rustic country charm. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. This cute pumpkin sign is something that I have had in my collection. I think I got that a few years ago from the 99-cent store, but there are so many different pumpkin shapes that this is just painted orange. It has black polka dots on it, and you can, create different signs like this. Okay, so the first thing that I did is take off that bow, and then now I'm adding some doodling to this because this pumpkin is already cute, but I want to country charmify it or Tracyfy it. And I love my happy dots, I love my doodles, I love my paint splatters, and that is what I am just going to just spruce this sign up just a bit. And so I just took my black Sharpie marker and just doodled around the edges. I also took that same marker and just went around the Happy Halloween lettering just to enhance it a bit. I feel that the black Sharpie marker just does make your things or your painted or my painted projects pop. And so then now I'm just taking a thin liner brush and I went around the edges of the pumpkin just to add some squiggly lines or some doodling. And so then just now to bring the polka dots out, I am just going around each of the polka dots just to add a comma or a little swoosh just to bring them out. And so now I'm going to do some paint splattering. This is what you will find here on my channel. We love our happy dots, we love our paint splatters, and we love our doodles and our squiggly lines. And I'm so thankful that so many friends love it as well. If you're new here, welcome. I love to share the God-given talents that the Lord has given to me, and I am so grateful that so many like-minded friends love this look as well. Anyway, to paint splatter, I just have a stiff brush and a stick, and I just run it over my paintbrush just to project the paint onto the project. I make sure my table and everything is covered because it does get a little bit messy anyway, but I do black and then I follow it up with white. Okay, for the next sign, this is a more it's different shape of pumpkin. It has trick or treat on it, which is perfect for the Halloween season. And this could be easily recreated. Like I said, I picked these up a few years ago. I had them in my stash, and so but they would be, just so fun to recreate. And what I'm doing is I took my fine Sharpie marker, just going around like I did with the Happy Halloween. But for this trick or treat, I'm not being too precise, like outlining the letter. I'm just kind of hitting it just a little bit away from the letter, and I kind of like that look as well. I'll go around the edges just to give it some extra doodling. Next, I'm going to get my liner brush and some white paint, and I'm just going to do some highlight on the letter just to kind of bring it out a bit more. And just by adding just the outline of the black marker as well as just doing the white, I really feel that it just brings out the word and just really makes it stand out and pop. I'll do the same thing with my splattering. I make sure that my table or surface is covered, and I do the black first, and then I will go back and I will do the white. Now I'm going to share how I made this wreath, and I'm going to slow the process down because I've been getting some questions about how I do my base. And so when I'm working with a 21-inch mesh, this is what I do to put on the base. And so I have this 21-inch black mesh. I think this came from Walmart. I have a 14-inch wire frame as well as some black pipe cleaners. So I let the 21-inch mesh drop down, and so then I gather it there at the top, and then I'm going to put on a pipe cleaner. And like I always start at the bar, like where the two in the inner wires, I just thread it through, or just hook it through that, and then I will put my mesh in between there, and then I will twist it so that it stays. I don't twist it tight because I'm going to be putting in more stuff. I'm going to put in my ribbon and all that kind of stuff. So I just twist it so that it stays. So it looks just like that. And so then I choose to gather it across and then go down and put another pipe cleaner in there. And the reason that I do this is because I put signs on it, and so then I don't want it to have a hole. I have something like a cushion for my sign to be, attached to if I need it to be. And so then what I'm doing now is I just take the mesh, I gather it, and another pipe cleaner, and then I'm working on the inner ring, and then I twist that so that it stays. So then I have one pipe cleaner attached at the top and then one down. So then I I'm still working on the inner ring. So I make a poof, and it's probably around 8 inches. And so I kind of measure it out here, and sure enough, it's about 8 inches. I pull that, and then I usually work where I gather it on the where the bar is, where the sign or the wire frame kind of attaches. I'm working on the inner ring, and so then I just put my pipe cleaner there, and then I'll continue to do my poofs, around 8-inch poofs all the way around. Now, when I get to where the top is, I'm going to untwist that and then put that poof in there and continue to work around. And then once I get to the other side, then I'm going to drop down and then make a little bit larger poof, maybe like 9 inches, to go around the outer wire of the ring. Now that I have the top ring or the inner ring, all the poofs there, I choose to drop down. I like to work on the inner ring first, and then I go to the outer ring. Every wreath maker is different, and so it just really depends on, people need to find their groove as to what works for them. Once I finish this, putting this on, I will have 12 ties on this, and I will tell you a little bit later in the video how I go back and add 6 more to have a total of 18 like ribbons on here. Anyway, so now when I get to the end, I just cut it off. I usually use scissors, but I didn't have those handy, so I used my rotary cutter. And so then these are the 10-inch mesh that I'm using in this wreath. They either came from Hobby Lobby or Craft Outlet. I'm not quite sure where I got that orange from, but orange mesh you can get anywhere. And so my favorite way to do this is just roll these out 2 together, and I just cut it off. I'm cutting these at 14 inches, and then I'm going to share how I make my caraffles to put on my wreath. To make my cruffles, that's what I call them, I just flip the ends over, gather it in the middle, and just secure it with a little clip. And so this one, I thought I was going to do 2, but then I remembered, oh yes, you cut these at 14 inches so that you can do 3. And so I do that on all of those. I just take the mesh, bend over one end, I flip it 3 times, and then I clip it, and then I move on to the other side, bend it, and then, gather it in the middle and then clip it. I'm going to put these 2 together. I make like an X pattern, and that is what's going to go into the bundles. And so since I have 12 ties, I am going to do 6 of each of these, and then I'm going to alternate them on this wreath. And so then, like I said, I just gather it 3 times, clip it, and then flip it, gather it 3 times, or turn it over 3 times, clip it, gather it in the middle, and then flip it, and then turn it over. And it kind of makes like a cruffle, I guess. It's not a ruffle, but it's not a curl either. It's the cruffle. Anyway, so I'm just going to have those attached just like that. All right, so then now like I said, I have 12 ties in here, and so I'm just going to alternate them. I usually start in the inner ring, and I put 1 bundle in there, and then I'll just keep alternating them, 1 on top, 1 on the bottom, 1 on top, 1 on the bottom, until I get all the way around the wreath. And then once I get to this point and I'm putting in alternating the mesh, the 10-inch mesh. In between those two mesh, I have what I consider a hole. And so that is going to be filled by more ribbon. And I'll show you that a little bit later into the video. But this is my process of how I do these wreaths like this when I work with 21-inch mesh and I put them on the frame, and then I fill everything in with cute ribbon. As I finish putting on this last bundle of the 10-inch mesh, I'll share, like when you look at it like this, I can see like all the like where the black is, and that is what I'm going to fill in the ribbon. Okay, here are the ribbons that I'm using. They either came from Craft Outlet, the Wreath Shop. I think one of them came from Amazon. These came from Craft Outlet. I cut the black and white. I cut the 2.5 inch at 13 inches and the 1.5 at 12 inches. And I like that combo because the 12-inch cut it a little bit shorter. I like the way that it lays a little bit better. And so then I use my tiny attacher to put the little staple in there, and I can gather it really easy. This candy corn ribbon came from the Wreath Shop, and what I did is I measured it out at 30 inches and I dovetailed the edges, and then I just made a loop, and probably about a 3-inch loop, and then I used my tiny attacher to put a little staple in the middle so that I can gather everything together. Now I get questions if you can use a regular staple. Absolutely, but I like the little tiny staple so that it doesn't get in my way, so that I can gather everything together and I can secure it into my wreath. I'm also using some of this tubing that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. It's in the color orange. I'm going to make some loops of that to put into some of the ribbon. To secure that, I'm going to be using these orange Chanel glittery stems. And so this is how I put my ribbon in my wreath. So I put that tubing, I just made 4 loops, 2 on each side, and I just put that ribbon in there, and I put that candy corn ribbon in there and into the middle. And so like where the tubing is, I just use that Chanel stem, that glittery Chanel stem, to secure everything. And so I know that the camera does not, you can't get in there really good, but that's what I did, is I just secured it like where that black is, where I said I consider the holes. That's where I put the ribbons and the candy corn ribbon, the tubing, and the glittery stem. I just attached it and used that for my pipe cleaner. I use these cable ties to glue to the back of the sign, and as well as some pipe cleaners, and that's what I attach the sign to my wreaths. I usually attach the sign to the wire form, but anything else, I'll share that in just a bit as well. So then now I'm just going to make a messy bow for the top of my pumpkin. Actually, what I did is I covered the stem of my pumpkin just with black burlap that I just had on hand. And so then I have this ribbon that I picked up a few years ago from Walmart. It was in the Christmas section, like for the gift wrapping section. Anyway, so I just have different trims here that I have in my hand, in my stash that I have on hand. I just have some thin ribbon, some pom-pom ribbon, and then I have a pipe cleaner, and then I'm just going to gather everything together, twist it all really nice and tight, and make sure that my ribbons are, turned the right way. And then I like to twist it tight and then have it so that the bow kind of pops like that. And so then I just, I punched a hole in the top of this sign, and I, with my crocodile, and I threaded that through that pipe cleaner, and then I twist the bow on, and then I secure it with glue so that it gives me extra protection and security. All right, so these orange berries is something that I had on hand. I think they came from the gift shop that I designed for, because I recognize the tags. And so what I did, guys, is I just cut those off, and and I used my Steel Picks machine and I put a pick on them. And then that is what I do is I glue them in the in between the mesh. I have had some questions about that. How do you attach your embellishments? I make sure that everything is glued in between the mesh, in between the layers. There's not really a whole lot that it's there to stick to. So I just make sure that everything is good. I'm not saying that you need to go out and invest in a Steel Picks machine, but that's something that I have. And so I, use it, and I use it to my advantage because it puts those little floral picks on it. And so it sticks into the mesh, and I use Gorilla hot glue. That's my choice, and so I make sure that everything is glued down and secured.